Hey everyone, I just wanted to talk about something really quick about the idea of how sometimes when there's a positive energy shift, sometimes negative events will happen. Now, it's very possible this month of September 2021, we may see some type of explosion or like a bomb or something like that go off, maybe in Afghanistan. I don't know. Um, but at the same time, there's this positive energy coming in. And how can that be? And why is it that sometimes when there's a positive shift, negative things happen? And I just wanted to explain that it's kind of hard to understand from the third dimensional perspective because we're just seeing things in a materialistic way. But when you see things from the perspective of spirit, looking down at the material world, you can see how energies can become stagnant, and sometimes people are stubborn. Sometimes it's not so much that people are necessarily being stubborn, it's more that people are just programmed to be a certain way, and it's not necessarily their fault either. And so, in order for a culture to change, sometimes there needs to be something that startles it, that breaks the energy. There has to be some form of destruction on some level, unfortunately, sometimes. I guess a good example, I'm trying to think of an example for someone in particular, like, your life becomes mundane and your energy is stuck and your spirit decides to leave the body. A lot of the times, someone will pass right after their significant other passed away, like elderly. This happens a lot. Um, and this is because their life is just kind of stagnant without that other person. And so their spirit decides to leave their body. And so your spirit can actually kind of sabotage you sometimes. And that's what it appears like to you from your third dimensional perspective, because it's like you're addicted. It's kind of like an intervention, actually. It's kind of like the universe breaking up the stagnation. You're going maybe a certain path. The universe is like, nope, you're not going to do that anymore. And so it could cause some trauma, actually, sometimes. And that trauma is there. It's a negative thing from our perspective, from the third dimensional perspective, but from a higher perspective, it's actually kind of like a wake up call. And so, even though for this month of September, I see a lot of positive new energy, sometimes when there's positive new energy coming in, people can trip up, and the things that may have been working for them in the past can actually become, well, disrupted in a way, so that they're forced to kind of give up on what they were doing, and it's kind of like a reset. So even though there's positive energy coming in for positive change, sometimes those can be very intense, sudden changes in people's lives that may appear to be a disaster. But when you look back, a lot of the times, you look back on your past, maybe you were at a job and you were enjoying your job, but you got fired or something happened abruptly out of nowhere where you had to stop working there, and then you moved somewhere else, and then your life changed dramatically, and now you're like such a better person because of that. Sometimes that's the case, sometimes it's not. But a lot of the times, this is the spirit intervening, telling you and your consciousness, in your body consciousness of the third dimension, it has to intervene and kind of break you away from your addiction or what you think is good, even though foundations and having solidity and things of that nature are positive. They can also create stagnation, and it prevents you from growing. And so it's more than just you growing in your lifetime, it's also you growing as a spirit your spiritual growth. And this is kind of why you may choose to incarnate into a negative life experience. And it's not because you did something bad necessarily, probably not. It's more so that you haven't had that experience yet, and so you haven't learned that lesson yet. And I don't mean lesson like you're being punished and this is a lesson you have to learn through punishment. I mean, you're learning to cope, you're learning to grow, you're learning to thrive in these different situations. So sometimes it's said that an older soul will purposely choose a difficult lifetime, and that's because they've kind of experienced the mundane stuff and they need more of a challenge, more of a challenge to, challenge their spirit to thrive in difficult situations. Just like if you're doing sports, say maybe skateboarding or something, you might need an obstacle to jump over. Otherwise, it's just flat ground, and that can be fun for a little while, but after a while, you might need something more interesting. So, anyways, I just thought that was something worth discussing for this month of September. So, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I always appreciate that. If you like a private reading, you can always contact me on my website. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Have a great day.